Welcome to the Herd's official YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Colin Cowherd podcast, all of our NFL instant reactions, and more football content. And with that, Urban Meyer is now joining us live, Fox Sports college football analyst.
Hi, Colin.
Hi. So you're doing the Oregon. You're there. Oregon's playing Northwestern. I think you and I have talked about this. I always think there's about 4 college football programs: Ohio State, LSU, Georgia. I don't know if Bama is anymore with the NIL, but I think Ohio State's in that class. I don't think Michigan is. I even with Harbaugh until the very end, they had an older group, but I think there's about 3 to 4 elite recruiters. Oregon, I never really thought of them, even when they were winning the last 5 years. But I wonder if NIL, when you watch the tape of Oregon in the first couple of weeks, has Oregon moved into, with all that California national recruiting, they've always recruited well, but not Ohio State or Georgia or LSU well. Do you still think they're doing it mostly with a little less talent than 3 or 4 big dogs?
No, I agree with you that they are officially a blue blood team in my mind. When you watch them play, the consistency, and me and you've talked about this many times, Colin. Their offensive and defensive line are legit now. We played the Oregon in the national championship in 2014, and I want to say they averaged just under 300 pounds on the offensive and defensive lines. Now it's almost 320 pounds. So they're finding the guys that. And once again, Colin, me and you've talked about this 100 times, that the Pac-12, for many years, they just couldn't find the offensive and defensive linemen. That's the difference between them and the SEC. They are officially now, in my mind, a blue blood. You stick them in the SEC and obviously in the Big Ten, they're as good as any team in the country.
So I was thinking about Ohio State, and it's weird how this works. So you had success at Bowling Green and then Utah, but when you go to Florida and Ohio State, the pressure ramps up. I mean, talk radio, the newspapers, there's 1 million people at your practice. It's hard. But I did feel like when Ryan Day and the Buckeyes lost to Michigan, I remember that game next was Tennessee, and I thought, boy, he's got to win this thing, and he's got to win it impressively. From that point forward, the Tennessee game until today, it feels like to me that they're different. It feels like, as a coach, I guess I'd ask this question. When you won your natty at Ohio State or Florida, do you coach a little differently? Do you feel you can take a few more big swings because it validates your system, your program, or is that just media guys talking? But when I talk to Ryan and I look at Ohio State, there is confidence. There is no question when I watch Ohio State now. I'm like, oh, that's currently the best college football program in America. And I didn't feel that when that Michigan loss, I'm like, man, they shrunk. Is any of that land for you at all?
It does, and I talk to Coach Day quite often, and he does. He sounds like a different person. He's legitimate. He's always been legitimate in my mind, but now the world's mind, he's won a national title. There's very few guys that have done that. The difference with me, and I'm anxious to watch how he handles it, because I think Kirby's handled it well. I've seen Nick Saban handle it well. I didn't. Everything, once we won that first national title, it was like the pressure was unbelievable to repeat. And it remains to be seen as they continue through their journey with Coach Day and the Buckeyes. But I see a much different Coach Day, a much more not relaxed, but much more confident. And it seems like people are off his back finally. And look at his winning 1-loss record. He's now a national championship coach. There's the one issue that he's got to deal with at the end of the year, and that's the Wolverines.
Yeah. The Nick Saban said something this week, and we talked about it about a year ago on the show, is when the NIL exploded, I'd said this on the air. I said a lot of times in the South, your biggest or second biggest booster, because a lot of SEC schools do not have huge enrollment. I think Florida does, but a lot of them don't. In that your first or second biggest booster in an SEC program could be a very successful car dealer. But if you look at Big Ten schools where you have 40,000 people, that's a lot of graduates. They go into the market. Bigger schools, bigger endowments. I mean, the richest guy in the world this week, Ellison, I think is he a Michigan grad? Yeah, Larry Ellison's kid, I think it is. And I'm like, it's just a reality. You got Seattle in the conference now in the Big Ten. You got Phil Knight money. You got USC money. Penn State gets, obviously, Ohio State's loaded. Michigan's got massive endowment. And Saban said, we used to think we had a geographic advantage. We had more good players, but Saban said, I think the NIL, the money advantage, is the guys up north. Do you believe that? Is that what you're hearing?
I read that quote from Coach Saban, and I believe it. I think this has been a result that not many people expected, myself included, that it would only bring other conferences or the Big Ten on level with the SEC. There's many, including myself right now, said they are better than the SEC, which 5-10 years ago, there's no chance that's going to happen. So I think it is. And this is something that I never thought through until recently. Like, wait a minute, he's right. That these big, Columbus, it's endless, the amount of money that you can get. That you have Detroit right next to Ann Arbor. The one school of state colleges out there by themselves, but they have Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. So I think there's a lot to it. What's funny is one of the coaches once said is that the SEC used to pay players. Now everybody pays players. So yeah. I'm not saying that happened, but that's what they were saying.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So I'll say it. Okay. So I saw something this week. I love Sark. I really do. I think he's great. But Arch Manning's playing in the game, and I saw him wince during the game. And my take is football players wince all the time. You know what I mean? You get hit, you wince. But one of the reporters came out and said to Sark, one of your players kind of winced during the game, and Sark kind of got, he kind of got after the guy, and I thought to myself, listen, man, before you win that natty, there's a lot of pressure at Texas. I would argue the toughest job in college football, take coaches out, maybe quarterback at Ohio State and quarterback at Texas. And I feel like with Sark, there's a lot of donor money. And when you watch Sark kind of get riled up at that press conference, do you think he's feeling a little bit of pressure?
I do. I think it comes with that job, and I feel the same about Sark as you do. So much respect for that guy, but I kind of saw that interaction with the reporter, and I wondered why. If that's a legitimate question. If he's hurting, then just tell him hurted. If he's not, so he's fine. But I don't. So I don't know if there's something behind door number 2 with that. I saw the same thing on video, but you're right. Players wince all the time, but I do believe that was a legitimate question. Is your quarterback hurt? Because I actually heard that from someone at Fox to say, yeah, he's a little dinged up, but I didn't see that during the Ohio State game because they ran him quite a bit. So, yeah, I don't understand that interaction, and maybe there is something there.
Finally, Bryce Underwood's the real deal, but Oklahoma's got more juniors and seniors. Oklahoma's got a great quarterback. Oklahoma was the much better team. How much, final question, when you have a star quarterback as a freshman right out of high school, would you be worried that how much can you just let him play? Or would you still kind of feel like, hey, he's a kid, he's going to learn, I don't want to put him out to the wolves? What would you do if you had Bryce Underwood and your Michigan?
He's going to be great. I even said that on Big Ten Network. I say, pump the brakes. He's going to be fine. Freshman quarterbacks don't go into Norman, Oklahoma and coach and play against a Brett Venables defense. I've tried that with veteran quarterbacks. He's that good of a defensive coach. You put that on the road in Norman and against great players at Oklahoma, which they look like a much better team. What did you think was going to happen? That's going to happen. It's not his job to go win that game. You know whose job it is? It's the other players around him. And they didn't step up. Don't put this one on Bryce Underwood. Put them on the defense and the rest of the offense. Where was the run game? You can't say that the quarterback lost that game or that freshman quarterback is going to struggle in that game. Everyone else has got to elevate, and they didn't do it.
Urban Meyer on a Friday. We're going to be getting Urban on Fridays a lot, and I absolutely love it. It's great seeing you, and have fun tomorrow. I may just stop by Evanston, just up the road from where we're at right now, Coach. Thanks.
Beautiful setting here in Northwestern.
Oh, it is absolutely stunning.